Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of the Being Fat at Disneyland. If you're new to this video and you haven't watched part 1, I will link it several places during this video, probably in the description, maybe a little eye thing, if I can figure out how that works, and I'll definitely link it at the end of this video. So if you haven't seen that one yet, please watch that one. There's lots of good information and some overview information about me and my size and whatnot, but I'm not going to get into that. For this one, I'm going to cut straight to the chase. So, if you watched my first video, you're probably thinking, okay, great, Laura, so I can go to Disneyland, I can ride these adult rides. But I have kids. What about my kids? Can I ride any of the rides with my kids? The answer to that is yes. But there's still some advice and tips and some tricks that I'm going to tell you to make that as smooth as possible so that you can enjoy those rides with your kids. So let me get my list of the rides and let's see where we can go. All right. First ride, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster, no problem. My husband and I sat in that with no problem. So you and a spouse or a partner or just a friend or basically you and somebody else can definitely sit in Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. There's not even a restraint. So you're good, no worries. Disneyland Railroad. I mean, I think that goes without saying. You can ride that train all the way around that park. There's no restraints, just regular bench seating or whatever. You're good to go. Let's see. Enchanted Tiki Room. This ride is super awkward and weird, but if you want to experience that with your child, they might like it. I saw some kids dancing. I don't know. But if you want to do the Enchanted Tiki Room, just regular old seats, you're just sitting on a chair like you would at your dining room table. So you can definitely do the Enchanted Tiki Room. Finding Nemo Sub Voyage. Okay, so this one you can do. However, the seats are very narrow. I don't even think, no, there was definitely no restraints, but the seats are very narrow. You're very close to the people next to you. Luckily, when I rode it, it was the end of the night. There wasn't as many people, and there was a seat next to me open. So I sat next to my husband, and there was a seat next to me open before the next person, so I wasn't, like, encroaching on anyone. But if someone else would have been there, it would have been really uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. So what I recommend is if you're going to ride it, try to ride it at a time when it's really, there's not a lot of people, and you can maybe have some space in between the seats or have little people sitting next to you, not any large or even average sized people. I think is going to be a bit much. The biggest issue for me is, the reason why, is not so much the width. So if you're wider than me, that might be an issue for you. But my problem was, because I have such a big midsection, my legs kind of spread out a little bit, and there's not a lot of room between you and the wall of the submarine. So my legs had to go out even farther, which is going to take up space of the person next to you. It's very tight. You could totally fit because it's just like almost like a bench seating. So I guess if you think about it that way, it's as if you sat on a park bench next to someone, but you're like right next to them. So just keep that in mind. But you can ride it. So definitely that's a you can ride. Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. You may think, I can't ride the Winnie the Pooh ride. Yes, you can. And it's fun, and you should. I rode it. It's one of those little cars that has 3 rows. I sat in the row by myself just because I thought it would be more comfortable, and so my brother sat in the one in front of me, so just we both had our own room. You could definitely sit next to, my brother and I could probably fit, it'd have been like really tight though, but you can definitely sit next to your child in the Winnie the Pooh, or you know, if you have an average sized person, it just would be a little tight. I recommend just getting your own row. There's never a long wait. It's always like a 5-minute wait. They're perfectly okay with you being in your own row. And yeah, and you can still like talk to the people that you're with. But if you have a kid, you can definitely sit next to your kid for the Winnie the Pooh ride. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So this is in the section of Disneyland where there's like 4 really old rides all right by each other. So there's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Peter Pan, then across is Snow White, and then the Pinocchio ride. So I'm going to give some, these are the ones that are a little tricky because they're the oldest part of the park, oldest rides, biggest issues, I would say, of all the rides that I've ridden at the park. So, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There is a smaller turnstile for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, but I was able to fit through it. So as long as you're not bigger than me, you should be fine. If you are larger than I am, then I recommend going to the handicap entrance so that you don't have to go through the turnstile. Because it was a little tight, but I was able to get through. As for the car, I was able to sit in it with my brother. I'm pretty sure my husband and I, he wasn't there that day when I rode it, but I'm pretty sure we could have both fit. It might have been like a little snug, but you could definitely ride it with your kid. So definitely I would say no issues. And if you have 2 small kids, you probably could fit 3 of you, I think. Maybe. Definitely 2 though. Peter Pan. Now, well, let me back up from Peter Pan. Let me go. So the next one I did after that one, so I was feeling good. I was like, yeah, I got a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. No issue. Went to Snow White. So the Snow White line is usually a little long. That one was about 40 minutes wait or something, which I'm just going to say, my own opinion, not worth it. But whatever. I wanted to ride it once. And I want to do it for the vlog. So, right as you're about to get on, what sneaks up on you is a little turnstile. And so I was like, well, that's okay. I fit through the turnstile, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I have fit through every turnstile in this place so far. This is not going to be an issue. But it was. I could not fit through the turnstile. There's no give. It's like up against a metal bar, so there's like nowhere for any of your extra weight to sort of overflow. And it was kept hitting my leg as I was trying to get through. So I couldn't get the turnstile to go. So I couldn't make it through. So that, I will say, was probably, like, that was really embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. Because the line is a very tight line that zigzags right. And so everyone in line is looking at that front line at you. And so I had to, like, flag the person down who's, like, operating the ride, who's by the handicap entrance, which is the exit, and tell them that I couldn't fit through the turnstile. And she was like, okay, we'll just come out and go to the handicap entrance. But I just sat through a 40-minute line of people completely, like, pressed and crunched up against each other. There was no way I was gonna make it through that line. There's no way. My body would not fit. It's only enough room for, like, one person deep, so, like, width-wise. So she had to, like, come over, and, like, luckily there was, like, a little emergency exit, like, just for the cast members right there by that turnstile. So she had to come over and let me through, and then have me walk over to the, I keep forgetting my hands go off screen. Had me walk over to the, handicap entrance, but it was really embarrassing. Everyone could see me, and I had to, like, flag somebody down. It held up the whole line. But she said, in the future, if you want to ride it, just go straight to the handicap entrance, which is the exit, and we'll get you on. But the ride itself is just like a little cart. You can fit it. I fit in it fine with my brother. No issues. You should be fine. But after that, I was pretty embarrassed, and I was like, man, I don't want to chance any more of these small turnstiles. So when we went over to Pinocchio, I saw that there was a turnstile. I, like, specifically looked, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try it. I'm just gonna go straight to the handicap entrance, and if they say anything to me, I'm just gonna tell them I can't fit through the turnstile. So when I went over to the exit, there was already a couple people in line for the handicap entrance, and one of them was also a larger sized woman. So that made me feel good. They didn't even ask me. They didn't even say, girl, why you here? Like, first of all, I don't think they can ask you that, but there was no issue. I just waited in line. They called one person at a time, and I was able to get on the ride just fine. Because the actual cart thing, again, is similar to Snow White. You're fine. I fit with my brother with no problem on all of these. No issues. The only issues are those tiny little turnstiles. And so, so then when it came to Peter Pan, it was down at the time, so I asked the woman that was standing by there if there was a turnstile for that, because I couldn't see, and she said yeah, and I was like, okay, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit. She said, oh, don't worry about it. Go to the handicap entrance and just tell them, and so this one you do have to tell them that you can't get through the turnstile, because they have 2 handicap lines. They have one for people who are able to get through the turnstile, so it still goes through the turnstile, and then one for people who can't. So there's like a little umbrella at the entrance. at the exit, and there's a person standing there, and you just go over there and just say, you know, there's like a line. There's already like a little line formed for that. So they're really used to it. It's not a big deal. I highly recommend, if you think there's any chance that you might not fit through that little turnstile, don't even chance it, because it is embarrassing, and you can still ride the ride. Because Peter Pan, again, no problem. Rode it with my brother. No, in fact, I rode it with my husband too. So, like, these are like no restraints, just like little carts that you sit in. The biggest issue is just those turnstiles. So for those older rides that have the turnstiles, those 4 in particular, if you are larger than me or the same size, I just recommend just going straight to the handicap exit, the exit/handicap entrance, and you'll be able to get on the ride just fine. No issues. And you don't have to be embarrassed. There's lots of people doing it. There are larger people as well as people with, you know, the different disabilities and things, so no one's even paying you any mind. So that's Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit's another one where the car, I rode it with my brother. The car is really easy to get into. I mean, the car is really spacious and you're fine. The only issue with Roger Rabbit is for whatever reason, the little door, because it's like a little car, the little door is a little tight. So I had to like get in sideways and like kind of like smush it in, kind of like I do on the tram. Because the tram to Disneyland, to get to Disneyland, also has a very small, like narrow door. So you have to go sideways and just kind of like push yourself through, but you're able to do it. So, and I would say even someone bigger than me could do it. It's just a little uncomfortable getting in and out. But other than that, you can ride Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. I did Snow White. Storybook Land Canal Boats. This is my last one. And then I'll talk about a couple I didn't and why really quickly. Storybook Land Canal Boats. Obviously, the boat's fine. It's just a boat. But there's a couple of things I want to say about it. First of all, there is another turnstile for that one that was a little tight. I didn't know that until I got up to it. I don't know that I would have... oh, no, I'm sorry. It's really early on. And it's a little bit bigger. It is small, but it's bigger than the other small ones. And there's like a little bit of room at the end. So I had no problem getting through the turnstile. Of course, I went through it sideways, but I was able to get through it, no problem. So if you're bigger than me, maybe go to the exit, but I think you'd still be okay. The problem I had with the Storybook Land Canal Boats is that the line, you know, zigzags like this, and you're so, because there's not a lot of room for that line, you're so close to people. That was super annoying, and I was having to go through the line sideways a lot. Then, when you get on the boat, it like tipped, like not tip, but like it like goes forward a little bit and you're like, ugh. But then when other people get on, it moves back. So that was like embarrassing for like a hot second, but then I noticed that it was happening to everyone, not just, you know, bigger people. So that was fine. I was a little nervous when we had to get up because they wanted everyone to get up at the same time so that there wasn't that sort of shift again. But I don't like spring up as quickly as other people do. So I tried to get up as quick as possible with everyone else, and it was fine though. So basically, moral of the story is you can ride that ride just fine. Just be kind of aware that some of those little quirks are going to happen. Now, there were a couple of other rides I planned to try and didn't, and then a couple that I avoided just because, ugh. So there's like a few that are just like, I think, well, one's in California Adventure, like the Golden Zephyr, I think is what it's called. And there's one in Tomorrowland where you're just like sitting in a little car and it just goes around. I don't even have an interest in that. It didn't even look interesting to me, but I will say the one in Tomorrowland that I walked by, I saw a couple and their little child trying to get in, and they were regular sized people or even like kind of on the small side, and it looked very tight. So they were like having a problem getting their legs in there. So if you're bigger, you might not want to ride that with your kid. Maybe you could, if your kid's really small, but I don't know, that one might be a bit too tight. Alice in Wonderland. I was going to ride this one. No, I did not do the Teacups because the problem I have with the Teacups is, like, there's that huge center circle that you use to spin, and because I have such a big stomach, I didn't even want to try it. I probably could have fit. I don't think it'd have been very comfortable. I think that thing would have been spinning, like, against my stomach. So that's just one of the ones that I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to try this one. So that you can do on your own, whether or not you want to try it. It just didn't seem like it was going to work for me because of how large I am in the stomach. Now, the Alice in Wonderland other ride, I was going to do this one, but it had a really small turnstile. So I was just going to go to the exit, but there's nobody at the exit. There's only somebody right as you're like getting on, and so I was like trying to get her attention to ask her, but I was just like looking at it, and the cars look really small, guys. Like, I don't think I would have been able to sit next to anyone, and I think you can only get 2 people in a car, or like there's only 2 rows in a car, and there was like 4 of us in our party, and I don't know, it didn't even look that great. Maybe someday I'll try it, but I was just like, you know what, this is too much of a hassle. I have to like flag this chick down, figure out how to get on this ride other than the turnstile. The cars look really small. I passed on it. So if you're smaller than me, you probably would be fine. But if you're around my size, I can't really tell you how to get on it. I'm sure there's a way to avoid that turnstile. But at the time that I was there, I didn't see anyone manning the exit, which they normally have someone. So I'm not really sure, you know, maybe try to fly down the other person that's working. I waited like 6 minutes, and I was like, okay, she's not paying attention to me. This is taking too long. Forget it. I don't even want to ride it that bad. So I didn't do that one. Casey Jr. Circus Train. I saw adults riding it. Like, there's spaces in there that you could ride it. I didn't try because that's like a legit little kid ride, and I thought I would look really silly riding it because I don't have kids. So, but I think there's like some actual like just seats. There's like a caboose and stuff that's just basically a seat that you could sit in. So you could ride that with your kid if you wanted to, I think, with no problem. I don't know if there's any turnstiles or anything because I didn't even see the entrance to it, so I'm not really sure about that one. And then Dumbo. So I was looking at Dumbo. I really was like tempted to try Dumbo, but it had a really long line. And again, that's another one that's like a very little kid ride. But I love Dumbo, so I was really thinking about checking it out. And I looked at the seats, and I think I could probably fit in the Dumbo by myself with no like other person or child with me. But then I thought I would look so dumb because if you look at the rides, it's just little kids and then some little kids with their parents. So I was like, I don't want like, I don't know. It's like a little Dumbo thing, and I just felt like I would look like such a moron just because it just spins around. Like, it doesn't actually really do anything. So I was only going to be riding it just because I like Dumbo, and I just felt like I would look like such an idiot. So I don't know. That's no judgment if you want to ride it on your own. But if you have a kid, I think you could, I don't know, if you're larger than me, maybe not. And I don't really know if you're the same size as me, if you could fit with a kid. You would need to give it a closer look. I know I'm pretty sure I could fit in it by myself, but like I said, wasn't trying to do all that. But I think that's going to be a maybe. So out of those that I went over, I gave you 11 definite rides that you could ride. And that I experienced, and then I definitely think you could at least do Casey Jr. Circus Train as well, most likely, but I'm not going to 100% say that, so let's just go with the solid 11. So it's another 11 rides that you can ride at Disneyland if you're overweight. So that's a total, with my first two videos combined, of 22 different rides that you can ride. And that's 11 that you can ride if you have a small child with them, and then if you have like an older child who can do the adult rides, that's 22 different options you have with your kid. Or if you don't have kids, you can still ride these rides. I don't have any, and I rode all of them. So the point of this is, if you've been avoiding Disneyland or thinking you can't go, I've just given you now 22 rides at Disneyland that I guarantee you can ride based on my information. There was a couple maybe if you're bigger than me, but if you're my size or smaller, 22 different options. So hopefully this was helpful to you. And so my next part 3, I'm going to discuss California Adventure, and I'm just going to include all the adult. There's not as many rides there, so I'm just going to include all the adult and all the children's rides in that video with my tips and advice and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. So if nothing else, if you don't want to do a park hopper and go to both, at least you know, as a plus size person, you can enjoy Disneyland. So please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment down below. And if you haven't checked out part 1, please be sure to check it out. And if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to do so you don't miss any of my future videos, including part 3, California Adventure. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!